cleanest, easiest raid in the modern history of WoW, and it's like all of that work, all of those like hundreds of hours that went into grinding like artifact power just didn't fucking matter. No, I didn't drop a single legendary before we cleared the raid. And then on the night we killed Xavius, we were doing Maw runs, and the first legendary I got on my Shadow Priest was the what is it, the Mengaza's Madness, the belt. Court of Stars was lamer than... No, that's not Court of Stars. What is COS? Crucible of Storm. Dude, people love Crucible of Storms. That's like the one boss raid, right? I hear so many stories about how like people fucking love that shit. What is the Nard dock? Huh? Is there like another dock floating around? Renon. Oh, he's trolling. Google Doc. Oh. Did these strats update or some shit? I gotta figure out like what the fuck is the other tether people are doing. Why are people doing this cringe ass shit? I think they're the same, right? I don't fucking, I'll figure it out later. But I hear people talk about, what is it, Unad was the boss? Dude, people to this day like come up to me on the street and they're like, have you heard of Unat? Man, you really missed it. It sounded like it was like a cool ass fucking boss, but I missed it. That was like the one boss people like tell me about where it was like, man, you really missed out. Too hard, no reward. I feel that. That's kind of what the ultimates in Final Fantasy are a little bit. It's like everything you get from them is like cosmetic. Like the weapon is like the tiniest like DPS gain imaginable, and it like really doesn't matter. So like it's fun to do hard stuff, but there's definitely a point where like the difficulty needs to be balanced by the reward, and you need some like really cool cosmetic shit if you're not gonna have there be like power upgrades in there, you know? Yeah, fuck the legendaries, fuck artifact power. I'm out, dude. I'm not doing that shit anymore. WoW just wants to be that girl that always wants to like spend time together, and it's like, no dude, I need my me time. DPS South, support North. What does that mean? DPS South, support North. For the tether knockback? Ooh. I'm never playing retail WoW. It's just I believe everybody who says that like WoW is in like a better place right now. I'm not willing to go make friends just to play WoW. That's ultimately that's like the most significant reason. I'm tired of making friends in video games, man. Nobody I know plays WoW anymore, and I don't want to like meet new people and put myself out there. It's like dating. Like that's literally what WoW feels like to me. It feels like dating, where it's just like you kind of like go out with a guild and see if you like vibe, see if you like can get along and play together, and it's just such a huge time commitment that you're investing into like people you don't even know if you like. It's like, oh my fucking god, miss me with that shit, dude. And like, if you have friends from like the before times who still play WoW or want you to play WoW with them, then and you like you've got a good thing going and you know you're enjoying WoW, good for you. I wish I was that person. Well, I don't wish, but like I wouldn't mind being that person. But holy fuck, I'm never gonna like be putting myself out into the WoW guild dating scene again. And that's the thing, I just don't like Mythic Plus. I'm too shit for Mythic Plus. I think that's it. Maybe I'm just in denial and I'm like, oh, I don't like Mythic Plus. Maybe I'm just bad at it. I don't want to be good at Mythic Plus. I don't want to do Mythic Plus. Well, like, my problem is that I can't rectify that the game is a Mythic Plus and then you do raiding. My headspace is still like, the game is raiding and you do Mythic Plus to facilitate that. But that's not really what it is. People playing WoW spend most of their time doing Mythic Plus, and I want to like minimize my time spent in there. I ideally spend 0 time in there. But that's just not how it works. So I don't think you can enjoy WoW if you don't enjoy Mythic Plus, and I just don't like dungeons. I don't know why. I couldn't really tell you. They feel a little bit too chaotic to me. I don't feel like the dopamine from like optimizing a dungeon run the same way I do about optimizing you know, a raid boss, you know? Because there's so many like uncontrollable variables to them. I don't like CCing things. I don't like using CC. I don't like getting CC'd. I just like, get that shit out of the fucking video games. I don't want to like have these heavily coordinated through weak auras like rotations of mob control. It's just, it's not for me. It feels like it's more of like a PvP enjoyers kind of thing, except you're like PvPing against NPCs, which sounds stupid, but that's how I feel about it. Like, I feel like Mythic Plus overlaps with like people who enjoy PvP a little bit more, but I don't know. It's not for me, man. Not for me. Seems like it's died out a little bit, huh? Unfortunate. I think I'd enjoy tanking Mythic Plus. If my WoW trajectory had aimed me at being a tank, I think I'd be a lot more receptive to Mythic Plus. I think I'd like enjoy being the trailblazer kind of the group, and like always being like the first to CC and, you know, kind of like set the pace. I think that would be fun. Being a caster in Mythic Plus just never really felt good to me. I don't know why. It's like you have to play with the same group for like a while to kind of get a flow of like when the tank is going to let you AoE and get channels off, you know? And it just felt like somebody else is driving and I'm just trying to like keep up with them. And on melee it's fine, you just kind of like, you just tag along your AoEing shit. But on caster, at least Shadow, it like never felt too right. I don't know. It's fine. Not for me. I play other games though. have fun doing it too. Like, I can see myself sinking like infinity hours into PoE too. I'm gonna see how that one shakes out. I feel like I'm kind of over PoE 1 a little bit. Like, I can still get like enjoyment out of it, but it's definitely a little stale to me. It needs like pretty big shakeups or pretty big like Void League-esque mechanics in PoE 1 to really like grasp my attention. Yeah, I definitely miss that part of WoW where it's like the framework for like your gaming social circle. And I think that's probably like the best part about WoW and MMOs in general is like when there are really good places to like meet other like-minded players and then like play different games with them, you know? And you don't get that in PoE, really. I mean, like, sometimes you do. You might, like, meet PoE people in PoE who you, like, want to establish, like, a cartel to dominate some aspect of the economy with, but I don't think you, like, really meet people like, hey, let's group up. I mean, some people do, but it's a different, like, type of thing, right? Like, MMOs are really good at, like, meeting people and making friends, and, like, it's cool to have, like, okay, on Tuesdays we go in and raid. What games do you guys want to play on the other days of the week, right? You know, I think that part of WoW is like still very, very cool and relevant to like the modern gaming scape, which is why I think it's really important that WoW doesn't monopolize your time as much as it has in the past. And it seems like they've moved away. That they realize that like you play more WoW when you have people you were invested playing WoW with, which means people you spend time outside of WoW playing with, right? Like, it's this weird, like, corporate ideology that is, like, that drove, in my opinion, why WoW, like, said, okay, we're gonna do daily quests, and we're gonna do Mythic Plus, and we want people to never log out of this game, and it just burned people out, and they, like, stopped talking to the people they play WoW with, whereas, like, I never played more, like, games with WoW people, and was more, like, interested in continuing playing games with WoW people than in, like, WoD, where we raided 1 day a week, and then we played other games, you know, and then we were stoked to get back in to WoW, you know, what are we doing next year? What are we changing? What are, you know, how are we going to improve? It's, I think, personally, like, important for, like, the social structure of the game, that it doesn't eat up all of your time. Fuck the vault, man. God. Why does the vault need to exist? I don't understand. I would love if Mythic Plus was like purely like a dick size thing and didn't have like actual substantial power gains attached to it, especially like the vault aspect. The fact, like, I guess I don't know if it still exists, but back in the day it was like a lot of trinkets that were best in slot you could only get from a vault proc of a Mythic Plus dungeon, because the dungeon itself doesn't drop it at the maximum eye level. And if that's changed, then my opinion would change as well. But like praying for a vault proc of like the ruby trinket was so shit, dude, and it was such a huge damage increase, like whether you had that or not. And it was true for like almost every spec, right? Like the melee had like the one at the end of the plague fall or whatever that was like stupid. If it was just something like, hey, you and your 4 best WoW friends, you know, like pick whatever comp you think is best and just grind times, I could get down with that way more than it being attached to like a loot that's relevant to raid. I don't know. Challenge modes? Disagree. It's it feels wrong to say it. Feels wrong to say it. But when I think of challenge modes from like, when I'm trying to remove all of the bias from my body, I'm cleansed like a Buddhist monk who's eliminated want and desire from their soul. I feel like I see challenge modes for the reality that they are, which is in my place like that they are exclusively like this ultra niche content that has no reason to like run them repeatedly other than for like people doing sales runs. And I think if that's all that they're for, then they probably shouldn't exist. From best titles? I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is. I think it just, there are too few people who can like compete on that stage that like, I don't think it's good that it exists. Unless you're in like a really like backwater realm where it's like kind of easy, and then, you know, it kind of like encourages people to do that. But like, if all challenge modes exist for is like for like the top 2 or however many teams on each realm to like grind seconds over each other, then I don't think there's a broad enough appeal that it should exist. And you know, attaching like really cool cosmetic shit into there is kind of just like content bait, you know? Because I feel like Mythic Plus is like a solution to like, you know, them trying to like answer the question of, okay, we really like challenge modes, but we can't rationalize making challenge modes when like so few players engage with them, and the people who do, like, how many people do you think ever ran a challenge mode again after they got gold once? Like, it has to be like less than 5% of the people who like ever did challenge modes like went in there again after they got their cosmetics. And like, I think the devs, you know, admirably or not, said, okay, we really like that challenge modes exist, but how do we make it so like people keep doing these? And like, they committed these like this cardinal sin of like attaching like a permanent like character upgrade system to them through like, okay, now we're going to start putting relevant loot into here so that you want to keep coming back. And like, that like ruined the entire history of WoW. Optimal content supply? Do you mean like rate, or how much, or what? I don't know. I think it's fine that MMOs have different like amounts and pacing of content. WoW is definitely on like the heavier side of like how much the game kind of allows you to do that benefits your character, whereas Final Fantasy is probably on like the lowest side of like how little you can do while maintaining an optimal character. I think my preference is that the amount of things that are, in quotes, mandatory for your character to stay like in a best in slot / optimal state should occupy like at most like one night a week. Like one raid night. That's all that I think an MMO should ask of a player to keep their character up to date. I think everything else should be like optional, either achievement based, for fun based, cosmetic based. I think everything, and I mean there should be a lot of that. Like the ratio of like player progression content to player do it, hey, it's there if you want to do it, it's for fun, for challenge, achievement, cosmetic, etc. should be like 25, like at the very most, like 25% of the content you're putting in your game should like be related to strict like power progression, or like the total content you put in like your into your game over like the course of an expansion cycle. 25, maybe like 1/3. Like the raid is like 1/3 of what you do, and everything else is kind of like optional enjoyment shit. I think that's like the correct ratio to me. Like, because I would consider the ultimates in Final Fantasy as like optional content. You know, sure, it does give you like a weapon that's like 5 DPS better than the current raid's weapon, but like it's purely there to like tackle if you want to do it. And if they want to do challenge modes that way, that would be fine. But the problem is like when at least the challenge modes we're talking about, like from MOP and WAD, they do a challenge mode of like every dungeon, and it's like you got to do all of them to unlock this shit. And it shouldn't be like that. If they're going to do challenge modes like how they were, I think it should be like, okay, the challenge mode for Grim Batol is coming out this patch, you know, and only that one. It's like, this patch is like, you know, like tune it down a bit, and I think you'll get better engagement when it's like, here's the one challenge mode, you get like a whole gear set or something from this patch's one challenge mode. I think WoW would like really benefit from like drip feeding their content a little better. And I think that's another issue with challenge modes. They're very like, you do them all or you do none of them. I don't know. It's wasn't right in my opinion. I'd have done it different. I mean, it's like cool for people to compete over things, but I don't know. This is one of those things I'm trying to like have like an argument with myself in my head, you know, or like determine how I really feel about it. Do you ever like think an opinion just to like kind of get like a sounding board, kind of like a second opinion from yourself? You say something just to like hear it out loud, and then you think in your head and you're like, I don't really agree with that, even though the words came out of my mouth. I was just kind of like bouncing it off of myself to see if like it resonated. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing here, thinking about challenge modes. Like, do I really think that, or is that just the first thought that comes to my head and I need to refine that opinion a little bit more? I don't know. I don't know that I want to spend that much effort analyzing the appeal of content in a 10-year-old version of WoW, but it's certainly food for thought. What is the Noir G-Dog? Don't know what that actually is. I have a Google Doc, but I don't, is it the Noir Google Doc? Well, I don't know. So, what really sucks is that it doesn't seem like we're going to be raiding again until next week, maybe Sunday. Oh no. Okay, we might raid Sunday. Jeez, that sucks. It's so far. I think So, okay, regarding dungeons in general, I think the most fun part of WoW is when, before the raid comes out, and you're grinding heroics for gear, and like you hope the piece drops. Oh fuck, it didn't, let's get back in there. And it's like pretty easy, low stakes content, but at your current power level it's still like a little bit relevant, but for the most part you're rolling over them, just like trying to like get like little tiny upgrades in every slot. And then, you know, the mythics come out, the early mythics come out, like mythic ones, and you're like where you're grinding keys before the raid comes out, and you're just trying to get like the like slightly incrementally upgraded pieces of gear before you go into the raid. That's the most fun part of an entire WoW expansion, and it only happens for like one single 2-week period, like once every like 2 years. And if they could capture that like that power progression fantasy more often, that would be so fucking cool. If like Mythic Plus was like, if every raid patch that was coming out, like you gotta go out into the Mythic Plus for a week and, you know, you get these like tiny little bits of upgrade gear, like who fucking cares if it's better than your old raid gear, you know? Like that shit is, that's the fucking feels good shit, you know, where it's like fairly low stakes content, or very frequent upgrades. Oh, love that shit. Sign me up. I didn't, this is the first expansion I think I've played, or I haven't even logged in on the XPAC start. I usually play the XPAC start and then I log out like after 2-3 weeks. I even did it in BFA and it was fun before the raid came out. But even someone like me, somebody who has no desire to play like WoW at length, I get a lot of enjoyment out of like just leveling my character up and then like getting upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. You know, you're getting like more powerful. That shit's cool. If they could do that more often, big fan. You guys think I should to match my character, incorporate some sunglasses into my persona? The problem with wearing, dude, this light is so fucking bright that I can actually wear these sunglasses and have it not be like a meme to be wearing glasses in like my fairly dark room. But I worry that glasses like at all on a stream are super like Dr. Disrespect coded, and I don't want anybody to like think of like Doc when they're looking at me, you know? Like it's just like it's, yeah, I don't, I mean, not even that, I feel like there's just a certain person that wears sunglasses indoors as like a stream kind of fashion statement, and I don't know if I want to conjure images of that. It's gearing like in Final Fantasy. It's so comically like, okay, the problem with it is that it's like really, it's not interesting. The gear in this game is not interesting, like even a little bit. It's basically like you've got 5 armor pieces and 5 accessories that have sort of less stats and no armor on them. And there are only 4 stats that exist. There's critical hit, which increases your crit chance and your crit damage. So like, because of the quadratic nature, like your crit chance goes up and your crit damage goes up, so every point of crit is better than the last point of crit. It doesn't scale super hard. Hold on. I don't know what a sneeze sounds like on this mic, and I'm worried it's gonna like totally destroy your ears. But these all scale like super slowly. Like the amount of damage increase you get like tier to tier is like 15%, like in a whole like raid tiers worth of upgrades, whereas in WoW it's like sometimes closer to 100%. And there are only 4 stats that exist. There's crit chance, almost always the best stat because it scales better. Determination, which is just percent damage. It's like versatility except without the damage reduction component. And direct hit, which is like multi-strike except not multi-strike. It's like a smaller crit that's at a fixed 25% rate. So like it's when a direct hit happens, it does 25% more damage, but like your rate, it's like a really, you get a lot of chance per stat compared to the other stats. And then there's haste, which is called speed in this game, and it reduces your GCD by a fixed amount of time. Like it's not like haste where your amount of haste is, you know, it like reduces your GCD by a percentage amount. Like speed reduces your GCD by a fixed amount, so technically the more speed you have, the better it gets, because if you were to somehow get your GCD down to like 0.02 seconds, you know, getting that same amount of more speed to lower the breakpoint again would double your damage, right? But the problem is that nobody really wants speed. Not because it's a bad stat, but because all of the like rotations in the game are very fixed, and most cooldowns don't like get reduced by spell speed, and like you do a disproportional amount of damage in your cooldown windows compared to not. So like for the most part, speed is just reducing like or increasing your filler damage, and it like offsets your burst windows from like the 2 minutes where everybody else is using their raid buffs. So like even though numerically on paper speed is like a decent stat, the like way it interacts with your rotation interacting with the raid and the fights and your other raid members like group buffs is really bad. So everybody just kind of like agrees that for the most part you won't, like nobody gets spell speed, or for melees it's called skill speed, so that everybody stays aligned with each other and when they use their abilities. And so basically for almost everyone this is a dead stat, except to like help align your rotation with burst windows better, where you'll take like a little smidge of it just to make things line up really nicely. But half of all of the gear in this game has that speed stat on it. So, sorry, all of that long-winded preamble. For every slot, there are 2 pieces of gear at the highest eye level. One of them drops from the raid, and one of them you buy with like a Valor point equivalent. This one is from Valor points, and it has crit and determination on it, which are the good stats. The other one from the raid has spell speed and some other stat on it. There's one of these 2 pieces of gear, and it's kind of random, will always have speed on it, and almost always you don't want the one with speed on it. So like it is so limited because you either like there's no variability. There's never a situation where you'd want a lower eye level piece of gear because the main stat on it is so overwhelmingly powerful compared to the other stats. And you pick the piece of gear that the devs decided didn't have speed on it, and that's it. Like and the raid gear isn't like item drops where, you know, oh, the frozen phylactery drops from the boss. It's just, it drops literally a box. Here, I'll go show you. I actually can't show you. Have any on me? No. Well, basically, it basically drops like a token, like a tier token, that you click and it turns into a piece of loot for your class. It'll be like a boot token. If you click on the boot token, it turns into boots for whatever class you're currently playing. And so they can go to anyone. And like, the bosses always drop the same amount of gear. And like, so like, the first boss of a tier will drop like one of each accessory. And you just have to like decide who in your raid is getting which one. So in like 4 weeks of drops, everybody has all of the accessories. And then like the second boss will drop the helm, the hands, and the boots. So again, in like another 4 weeks, because usually 4 people in your raid will want the raid boots and 4 people in the raid will want the valor boots. After 4 weeks of the second boss, everybody has it. And then it's the same with the third boss that drops the body and the legs. And it's the same with the last boss that drops the token for the weapon. So like in 4 weeks time, every person in your raid will have best in slot for all of the armor and all of the accessories, which is like kind of nice sometimes, because it's like, you know when you're going to be done with gear. You know at what time of what day of what week in a prog cycle that your character will be done, and nothing will change that. There's no like bonus drop, there's no secret, oh my god, this dropped and it's so good for my class. It's very on rails and like boring. It's not very fun. It's not very satisfying to get loot in this game, but it's satisfying to not have to worry about it. I don't know. It's very weird. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it kind of sucks. I think I'm on the side of that. It sucks, and mostly because I wish the stats were more interesting. I wish the stats did cooler things. I wish there was a reason to take speed as a stat, or otherwise I wish they'd get rid of speed and put like a more interesting stat in its place, because speed being a dead stat for almost everybody just means that like half of the loot in the game, you like, it's always a do not touch. And a very firmly held opinion of mine is that there should not be group buffs in this game, because the primary reason why spell speed is really bad is because getting speed offsets you from the fixed 2 minutes that everybody uses their group buff. And if you didn't need to line your rotation with everybody else's buffs, then there'd be a lot more jobs that probably would want speed. But in every other case, it's like really bad. There's only like one job in the game that actively wants speed, and even they don't really want speed. Like the spell speed black mage is just worse than crit black mage, so it's like, what's the point of this existing? It's stupid. It's really boring. I don't think they'll ever rework it. I think it would be really I think it would be like trivially easy to rework it. It would not take like, it wouldn't be this hard task. Like Square Enix and like their dev team has this like habit, I notice, where they like make every change to this game sound like some Herculean task that, oh my god, that's impossible for us to do, and then like years later they'll do it because it wasn't ever that hard to do, but they like present everything as like, oh my, that would be so difficult, oh my god. And in my opinion, it's just kind of like a way to like shut down changes to the game, you know, and get people to stop asking about them until they're ready to commit the dev time to do it. And then from there they just pick like the lowest hanging fruit to like sort of placate the player base. Yeah, the chat bubble thing is like, they swore up and down like, this is impossible, we can't do this, and then they do it and they're like, we did it, and like it's meant to like applause for the most part, but I don't think there are enough people that care about this. I care about this a lot because I think it's stupid, and coming from WoW it feels like really bad to not care about your gear at all and there to be like no decisions made about it, because like I don't just happen into a piece of gear, right? Like if I win a piece of gear in a raid and it's like not the piece of gear for me, one, I'm either like not in a static where the loot is like prescribed to people, or I'm in a pug and I kind of just like stole that piece of gear from somebody else because there's no reason for me to use it if it's not my best in slot, because it's trivially easy to get your best in slot, so you just end up using it on one of your alt jobs, and like there's just no reason to ever equip a piece of gear that isn't like your best in slot in the gearing process. And you go from the old previous gear to the new best gear very rapidly, and there's like no in between like leveling up step at all. You craft gear, you equip the best in slot. That's it. It's over. Nothing mattered. Very boring. Sometimes boring is a good thing, but it doesn't need to be this boring. I don't know, I can't help thinking I'm like fairly critical of this game because there's a lot they could do better and would be like really easy to do better, and they just don't. But at the end of the day, the only point that matters to me about this game is that the raid bosses are fun. And that's why I play it. That's like it. Like everything bad I say, it's just like, well, I still have fun fighting those bosses, so I'm here. That's it. Well, God, I do not want to wait until fucking Sunday to prog more. I think I'm gonna be party finding the ultimate, and if I log in and feel like I'm finding like a lot of groups, I'm gonna fire up the stream tomorrow or whatever other days I raid. This tomorrow would maybe be a little shorter because I have plans in the morning. Oh fuck. I've got clients people delivering a new washing machine here tomorrow, and it's gonna like really fuck up my sleep schedule. Oh, you just don't even talk to them. I interact with so few people. It's funny. I just stand here surveying the world. But it's definitely like, I guess I don't know that WoW isn't this way, but it kind of feels like the Final Fantasy community is like terminally horny, and it's definitely like a little off-putting to me. Like, it's bad sometimes. They need to chill the fuck out. It's weird. It's a little much, but whatever. I don't know, if I decide to party find, I'll fire up the stream. Guys are welcome to hang out, talk to me, or shoot the shit. There's a lot of, like, the problem with doing Party Finder is there's a lot of downtime where I'm just kind of waiting for the group to fill, but you don't mind being here, I don't mind talking to people about whatever. I think things will really kick off though. Like, this week, our raid schedule is fucked. Next week, I think we're going to be raiding every day. As far as I'm aware. So that'll be 5 raid nights a week. I think we have some people off the next week, and then it's like Christmas, which kind of fucks things up. But once we get out of this new year, like Christmas New Year phase, I think the raids will be more consistent until we finish the ultimate, and then I don't know what the plan is after that. But none of that really matters because come, you know, a week from Friday, we're going to have PoE 2, and I think I'm going to stream a lot of PoE 2. Like, anytime I'm not doing the ultimate, I think I'll just play PoE 2 instead. And I'm feeling good about it. I really enjoy talking to you guys. I enjoy you talking to me. It's good to kind of hang out, vibe. Feels good. Feels right. So I think in PoE 2, I think will be a driving force that like gives me something I care more about playing. That'll make it really easy to stream. So I think I'll be here for a while. And we'll just be alternating between the games and maybe some other stuff, we'll see. But it seems like PF's a little dead for tonight, so I'm gonna call it here. I'm gonna go eat some food. Decently long stream, I think. Wish we could have raided more, but still good time. Oh no, I'll see you next time I raid, which will at least be Sunday. Maybe